live now.
Let me check.
Okay, so um,
Let me check. Let me check. It
okay,
is not yet.
yes,
Yeah.
Prof is back. Let me bring him in.
Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Hello,
Okay.
Prof.
So yeah, let me know when to start.
Hello. Okay,
Yes, we can.
we are live.
We can
We are
start now.
live.
Let me
We are
know when
live.
to start.
Yes, you can. You can.
Okay.
Yes, we
Go
can.
ahead, Prof.
We can start now.
We are live.
Okay. So I just hope that we go through the. Sorry, gentlemen and ladies, especially the young people. We truly apologize for this paralysis. Of course, that is the reason why the better technology, and it's a challenge for all of you, because if we have had a better technology, maybe we will not be going through this paralysis. But going back to the conversation we had, what I'm trying to explain is that in any economic system, there is always a need for somebody to provide a service in order to meet a friction another person has. And because of that need of fixing that friction, or specifically the need of that individual or company, someone has to create products and services. And the process of creating products and services, you now have an economic activity. That economic activity, when you aggregate it and you combine all of them, you begin to see the dynamic nature of that specific economy. So that's what they call the GDP. It's an aggregate of economic activity over a specified period of time. So when you are now looking into a new economy, you are now asking yourself, how are we going to solve the problems or the fictions of the future? Because as humans interact, as companies do businesses, they begin to change, they begin to actually see new things as a result of acculturation, as a result of evolution of new technologies, as a result of changes in things that happen in the world. You know, today, the way you use Instagram is certainly more advanced than the way I use Instagram, because most of you are younger. And that also means that the challenges you have are also going to be unique to you compared to the one I had. When I was finishing from the university in Nigeria, I was in university about 9 months, I got a job. And I got another job. And I got another job. And those days, banks used to essentially every weekend ask people to come to stadium to write entry-level tests. The implication of that is this: opportunities were actually more. People could graduate from universities, there were bank jobs, there were oil company jobs. But what we have seen today is that in some economies, the population growth has outpaced the economic growth. And when the population growth has grown faster than economic growth, it means that generations of people have become poorer because nations have not been able to improve their per capita income. What they call the per capita income is essentially dividing the total GDP of a nation by the total number of people living in that country. And if the economy is not growing as fast as the population, it means that over a specified period of time, a generation, people are getting poorer. So how are we connecting all these elements into the new economy? But before we go into that, let me point something out. In that economic system, there is what they call factors of production. The utilization, the usage, the deployment, of the efficiency of these factors of production defines how an economic system functions. So you have what they call land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, and a new one we call knowledge. If a country can utilize those factors of production efficiently, that country becomes an extremely dynamic economic system. And that is where the young people come into being, because in that knowledge, that becomes the wealth of nations. That becomes what makes nations rise. Because if you go back to history, or if you read about how other nations have come up, maybe you look at advanced economies like the United States of America, you see that the best moments in America happen when young people or old people decided to actually go and build things that solved problems in the society. So my challenge to young people today is not about talking it. It's actually taking action to go and solve a problem in your community. It's only when you solve a problem in your community that is when that problem disappears. It's not when you have written it in a newspaper or when you have blogged it. When you blog it and you don't solve it, you have not done anything. And how do you solve problems? It means you need to have capabilities. It means you need to have abilities. And those abilities are now concatenated on the efficiency and the utilization of the factors of production. And utilization of capital, utilization of workforce, the level, utilization of maybe resources like land, resources like water, all the things around us, then bringing all of them under a knowledge base. When you deploy these factors of production efficiently, you begin to radically change the economic architecture of that country where you live. You know, we have seen how information and communication technology has changed the dynamic architectures of nations, turning humans, nations, states into interdependent global relationships, where people are now elements in form of IP addresses around the world. But as these things are happening, we are getting into this global community where we are local and also global at the same time. And it presents a new dimension of a future economic system. How can I live in Lagos and be working in San Francisco? How can I live in India and be earning income in Japan? How can I live in Japan and be doing consultancy work in London? The implication of that is you are no more competing with the person that is living in the same neighborhood with you. You are no more competing with the same person that is living in your city. You are now competing globally because internet has brought a new dimension of a global economy where through the reduction of marginal cost, people are now living unconstrained and unbounded. So for us to move into that new economy, it means that the way we use the factors of production has to evolve. Because at the end of the day, it's activity. We need to fix the frictions that exist in the marketplace. So I give an example what happened many years ago in the Nigerian banking sector. There used to be a time when if you go to a bank, you have to spend maybe 3 hours just to get maybe $100 equivalent. But some people say, no, that's a very primitive way of doing banking. Why will you take a day from work just because you want to get your money out? So they now brought technology. By using information technology, people did not have to be using hand, be keeping record of ledgers of people's bank balances. So by bringing technology, they were able to improve the efficiency upon which the factors of production were actually being deployed. In other words, the bank staff became more productive. The system became faster and now advanced the economic architecture upon which that local economy was being built upon. So instead of somebody spending 3 hours in a bank, he could spend 10 minutes. But that translation has to happen across industrial sectors. Why can we as a people live on top of water, yet we can't find a drinking water to drink? Water everywhere they say, but I can't find the drinking water to drink. Why should somebody live in Mali? Below there is a water table, yet people can't find drinking water. It simply means something that the use of that technology base, they have not figured out how to use technology to take water out of that water table and now put it in a form that's what they can drink potable water. The implication of that is that that society is still living in an inventive society. It's a society that is thinking of talking, postulation, ideas generation, but you cannot find any significant product or service that solve that problem. As we move into the future, we see that technology is changing everything we do. And that technology technologies are radically transforming the economic architectures. The conversation we are having today would not have been possible maybe 40 years ago, 30 years ago. But as that is happening, new dimensions of knowledge base, all of them are evolving. So we are seeing how artificial intelligence is coming into the ordinance of workforce, bringing a new domain, how machines in future possibly can challenge the human knowledge. We also seeing how cloud computing has made it possible that people do not have to worry about those basic things, especially in some parts of Africa like Nigeria, where you need to have a generator. So if your generator is down, does it mean that your server has to be down? We also seeing how new dimensions of business models like aggregation, which Facebook uses, which Google uses, which even Apple in iOS uses, how these new business models are changing how business systems are being formed. These new business models, these new technology-based systems, they are all going to change how all of us, especially the young people, are going to live in a new economic system. And when they are changing the world we live, there are many things that will happen. And one of those things is we are going to have a paradox. In 1979, General Motors, one of the biggest car companies in the world, was serving less than 300,000 customers, but he needed to employ about 1 million people. He needed to employ about 1 million people to serve those number of customers. Today, Facebook has less than 40,000 workers serving nearly 4 billion people. So if you run the mathematics, the implication is this. As we advance in that deployment of new emerging technologies, making things exceedingly more productive and efficient, there will be massive dislocation in the future of work. Many of you may not necessarily see that old opportunity you dreamt when you were entering university, because the way the world is being redesigned will make it impossible that those jobs will just materialize the way you thought about them. So if somebody can use 40,000 to serve 4 billion customers, how will the other billions of people find jobs? And this is happening every day. If you are following, there is hardly no quarter in South Africa where there is no demonstration, because people have lost their jobs as ATMs begin to replace human beings, as AIs begin to replace customer service departments, as chatbots begin to replace people. And as these things are happening, people are increasingly earning lesser, because we are all becoming dispensable, because we are competing with machines that cannot strike. So the thing is this: the future is one of abundance, but how are you going to unlock that abundance? It's going to follow a new paradigm. It does not mean because jobs are going, we do not have an opportunity in the future. But what it means is that the way we are going to follow the trajectory into the future has to evolve. And that evolution means the way we make choices, the decisions we make, they are going to be critical. Everything you learned in university is very important. But the most important thing will also be what you are learning now. Because just looking at what happened in COVID-19, we have seen that some business models are already obsolete. You know, I'm told today,
that, Prof.
I'm told today in Kigali.
Some jobs will not exist anymore. Like Gail
Absolutely.
said yesterday.
Absolutely. If you go to Rwanda now, there is no more business for paying cash in a taxi.
Wow.
So that business has gone. And we have seen that even in places like Kenya, they are trying to do as much as possible eliminating cash. In short, during COVID-19, the Nigerian Central Bank actually stopped told banks not to process checks. In other words, if your business was producing checks for banks, you were already in trouble. So what I'm saying is we are going to see a lot of redesigns in our economic system. But there is always something that is constant. That constant is that the world will keep changing. And if the world is changing, it means that we also have to adapt. And that adaptation has always happened when people equip themselves with knowledge. If you go back to the Bible, they said that when Moses appeared before the Israelites, they marveled because he had studied under the Pharaohs. And what the implication of that is that he went to the best possible university in the world, in the house of Pharaoh. Pharaohs were the people that had the best astrologers. They were the people that had the best thinkers. And Moses was privileged to have studied under Pharaoh. And because of that, his understanding of the mechanics of the old Egyptian empire was legendary. So the Lord asked him to go back to lead his people out of the land of bondage because he was qualified beyond measure. There was something you learned from there. Moses had knowledge. And if you go back to the time of the Greeks, if you land at Athens, you see the road to Thessaloniki. And if you go take a flight into Coastal Line, you see the Mediterranean Sea. There is something so beautiful about Greeks is that you see how Greek philosophers, as they were rising in knowledge, helping the world to understand the constructs of the mechanical system of the universe, they were also building shipping lines across the Mediterranean Sea. Knowledge saves economies, knowledge saves nation, adoption of knowledge, deployment of knowledge, generation of knowledge is one thing that will change the destiny of man. And it's one thing that will change the destiny of man. And if, as young people, if you are looking for that new economy, it has to come. How can we acquire the knowledge that will be relevant? How can we learn the things that are important? Yeah.
Prof, so my take home from everything you've said is, there's a market friction and the youth need to solve the problem that the economy is currently facing utilizing the factors of production.
Absolutely. The problems that are happening today, they have to deploy resources, combine resources, recombine resources to solve. And the way they have to solve those problems will be radically different from the way it was in the past. Because the customers they are trying to solve those frictions, their expectations are different. You cannot deliver the same level of quality to what was been delivered maybe 20 years ago. But they are very lucky because knowledge today is largely unbounded. YouTube has the biggest diary you can imagine in the world. So you learn anything you want. It's not about what you learned in university, but it's also the opportunities of the new economy. But at the new economy is how can you do well in those elements that make up those economic systems. Those factors.
So I just have a few.
Go ahead.
I have a few questions for you as we're about to round up for the next guest to come in. So, what's your view on remote work? Is it going to be short-lived or it has come to stay?
Yeah, I do believe vividly that because there are benefits for workers and there are benefits even for the employers. Remote work will actually be part of the modern nature of work. Because if somebody has 1,000 workers and if 300 are working from home, the implication is that his commercial lease budget will drop. So provided that there is something the employers are benefiting besides the fact that you make sure that productivity does not drop, everyone will be fine. So it is going to be part of the equation. People will work from home and some will also, of course, continue to work from offices.
Okay. So, Prof, another question I have for you is, you just made mention of what is currently happening in Uganda about people rioting because computers have replaced their work. You mentioned Uganda, Professor.
No, I said South Africa. I mean, I think in general, people are losing their job. Yeah, in banks, staff. Yeah, not really demonstrating and protesting.
Okay, so So, what's your is it actually posing a big threat to youths, the result of robots and AI technology? Is it
Yeah,
posing
I don't
youth,
believe that.
a threat to youth?
mm, yeah, I don't believe that any technology should be seen as posing a threat, because
Mm,
humans will always be smarter than anything humans have created. I believe vividly that the limitation of our today's knowledge is based on what we know today. So if
mm,
the machines get better, the machines will even help us to understand things better. And that means man and woman will always be ahead. If you go back during the Industrial Revolution, people were so worried that automation of machine systems, industrial processes will keep people out of jobs. But if you look at more than 100 years, man actually created more jobs, woman created more jobs than were there. So it shouldn't be a threat.
mm.
What is a threat
Okay.
is if the young people do not want to adapt to confront these redesigns which are happening in the economic system. That's where the problem is.
Okay. So with the emerging sectors, should you look out to building what should the youth look out to building in the future with the emerging sectors? What are the areas youth should focus on building to be able to remain relevant with the emerging sectors?
Uh, you could see here that I've not mentioned anything like 3D or all these fanciful things, augmented reality, virtual reality. I'm a technology person, but I am trying to be very realistic. The challenges
Mm-hmm.
we have in most parts of Africa, as also India, these challenges are not the challenges they have in Silicon Valley or they have in Paris. So they may have the problems that AI or augmented reality will solve. Our own is really, how can we get drinking water? How can we get 24/7 electricity? So if the young people want to solve problems and actually earn decent income doing that, our problems are not the problems of augmented reality, all these emerging technologies. Emerging technologies are fine, but those are not necessarily the
Mm-hmm.
things that will. We still need roads, we still need electricity, we still need drinking water, we still need good schools, we still need basic simple things. The richest people in Africa today are people that are fixing those problems. People that are solving those esoteric 1% problem, they are happy people, but they are not going to have massive impact in the lives of people. So if you look at the challenges the young people have, the big problems are problems that other people have solved in some parts of the world maybe 100 years ago. Who is going to give us electricity in Lagos 24/7? Who is going to give us good drinking water in my village, in Abia State, in Nigeria? Who is going to make it possible that kids can have decent primary education in Zamfara State, in Mali, in Niger Republic, in Togo, in Benin Republic? So these are not AI problems. These are not augmented reality problems. These are not 3D problems. So, but of course, we like to transpose what they are doing in Silicon Valley and Paris into India, into Africa. But if you look at it, the emerging technologies for our era, these are technologies of decent, basic, primary quality education for young people. In Yobe State in Nigeria, literacy rate is 7.2%. It means that out of every 100 people, only 8 can read and write. Out of every 100, only 8 people can read and write. That's an
The youth
opportunity for
should
the
focus on,
youth.
yeah. So instead of looking for the very big AI projects to work on, let's focus on our immediate environment problems of the uh, common man. That's your advice
Yeah,
for us, Professor.
yeah, of course, as they're solving those problems, they can bring in AI, they can bring emerging technology. But what I'm trying to point out here is you need to solve problems that can actually have a generational impact. It's not just picking a problem like I see some young people in Lagos trying to do facial recognition. I was like, if you build facial recognition technology, are you giving them to Nigerian police? Are you giving them to the Nigerian military? I mean, at the end of the day, the massive scale for adoption of those technologies, they are just very, very limited for adoption. But if we begin to do things as young people, we can use those technologies to improve them. But the problems we want to solve are problems other youth in other countries have solved 100 years ago. The problem of drinking water, Africa has not solved it, for example. India has not solved it, for example. So when you now to compute the
I
Silicon
understand what
Valley
you're
on
saying,
three,
Professor.
yeah,
Mm,
these are basic
mm,
things.
mm.
And these are basic things that we
Thank you.
cannot leapfrog upon.
Mm.
We cannot leapfrog upon
Thank you
because we
very
still
much.
need it.
Thank
Yeah.
you very
Okay.
much for emphasizing these points, Professor. We are really grateful and sorry for the inconveniences of our technology. This is also some mentioned. The youth needs to help us. We won't be having. We are for your time. Really learned from all you've shared today. Thank you once again,
Thank you.
Professor.
Okay. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
And
It's
good
great
luck
to
to
have
every
you.
one of
All
you.
right.
Okay. Bye
All
bye.
right. So, in case we have questions, is it okay to reach out to you on LinkedIn? Will you be
Yeah.
available
Yes.
to,
Yes.
or where would you
Yes.
rather
Of course, they can reach
people
out.
reach you?
Yeah, they can reach out. Actually, if they go to, I write regularly on tekidia.com, tekedia.com. They can also post questions there. We'll make sure we answer them. Or they can
Eh,
send it through you.
Okay.
Any means, we will be very happy to help.
Okay. So you said they
Okay.
can send it through tekedia.com.
Yeah, if they go to Tekidia,
All right.
we have a discussion forum. They can send questions, just comments in anything. I think I actually posted about this event. If they have any question, they can post it. We will make sure we answer them. Some of
Okay.
them I may write
There.
or I can make a video.
Okay.
I can make a video and respond to the specific question they may have.
Okay. Thank you so much once again. We are grateful to have you. All right, Ethiopians, we'll be back with
Okay.
Virginie in a few minutes. All right. From
Okay. Good luck.
us
Bye
to
bye.
you, see you in a few minutes.